The story kicks off with the main character just wanting to be happy. All he really wishes is to fall in love, hang out and laugh with his friends, and have a pretty normal school life. That's it, just some simple stuff that would make him genuinely happy. When he reaches the rooftop of his school, he reveals he is getting bullied and beaten regularly. The next day they pour toilet water on him and share his nude photos online. He reaches a point where he is planning suicide. Standing at the edge of the building, he figures if he jumps from this height, he is definitely done for. He thinks maybe he can survive if he lands in the bushes, but then he decides he just needs to aim for the ground. Out of nowhere, a girl suddenly shows up, asking if anyone is there. He's caught off guard and wonders if there are still students around while trying to figure out his next move. But then he notices her looking down from the building, and he shouts for her to hang on, thinking she's going to go get someone. But instead, she casually picks up a crow, which sends him into a total panic. She tells him to check it out, pointing out that it's a crow just lying there. Then, out of nowhere, she asks if he wants to die. She drops the real kicker, asking if he'd just give her his life instead. He's totally thrown off by what she says, but she keeps going on about how dying is such a waste and that he has so many fun things to do while he's still around. He fires back, telling her she doesn't know him at all and to stop pretending she knows what's best for him. He's really pissed, asking if she came to make fun of him, but she just shrugs it off, saying she just wants to help him get the most out of his life. When she talks about his life, he looks super confused. She points at the crow and asks him what he thinks when he sees it. He still has no clue what's going on. She's just casually asking if he thinks the dead crow is cute, while it's just lying there lifeless. On the flip side, he's feeling pretty creeped out. To him, it's not cute at all. Then she casually mentions it's because the thing is dead, calling it just a stinky, rotting lump of trash. Those words hit him hard, making him wonder if his own death makes others feel gross too, like he thinks. They might be saying stuff like, "This idiot is always in the way. Can't he just die already?" Feeling really low, he says that even a dead crow has it better than he does. He figures that once the crow's gone, it just becomes some trash, while he thinks he's trash even while he's alive. When she hears this, she asks if that's why he wants to end it all. He confirms that it is, but then gets annoyed and asks her why she's trying to lecture him. She clarifies that she's not trying to stop him, which only confuses him more. She admits she doesn't know much about him, but can see that his life looks pretty miserable. Then, with a bit of a playful tone, she asks if he's okay with being trash for the rest of his life. Totally ticked off, he snaps at her, admitting he really is. He clenches his fist, and after a bit, says that even though he wants to make friends and have a normal life, he just likes laughing at the silly stuff other people do. To make things even more complicated, he shares that having a girlfriend is off the table for him since he wants to enjoy his teenage years instead. Seeing where he's at, she casually says she can make that happen for him. That takes him by surprise, especially when she hops on the fence next to him. She walks over and tells him that if he wants an awesome high school experience, he should let her take control of his life. She offers to turn him into her puppet, saying that's how he'll find happiness. She playfully suggests that if he's looking for a girlfriend, she wouldn't mind letting him get a little touchy-feely if he agrees to be her puppet. He feels super shy and starts getting flustered. She casually points out that it's not a bad deal at all. When she asks if he's interested, he just shrugs her off and says he's not into it. Hearing that, she pauses for a moment before grabbing his tie, and they almost tumble over. She playfully suggests to let's go for it, and makes an offer that if they both make it out alive, he has to be her puppet. They're both falling, clinging to each other, and he can't help but wonder if this is real. She squeezes him tight while he's just trying to figure out if he's really gonna die. In that split second, all the memories of the bullies flash through his mind. Those guys always made his life miserable, like when they'd shove their foot on his head while he was completely helpless. He often wondered why he had to go through that. Meanwhile, the bullies were just laughing it off. He used to wish the worst for them. But then, out of nowhere, they crash into some bushes, and he's still feeling a ton of pain, wondering if he might have broken his arm. But she just bursts out laughing, casually saying it didn't hurt nearly enough to actually kill them. It looks like he's really hurting. She scoots him up in her arms and declares that he's her puppet from now on. Then she gets him to walk with her while saying they should get along. It's wild how she's completely controlling him while saying he's her puppet. She goes on about how she pulls his strings and wants him to dance for her, comparing him to an RC car. He can't help but ask her why she's doing this. She casually explains that she's just tired of her own life. He's totally taken back, and she adds that she plans to control someone else and make their life perfect. While holding his hand, she promises to lead him to happiness if he agrees to be her puppet. He starts asking what really matters to him and if he can actually be happy. He figures if he can, then he doesn't care if he's just being controlled or whatever. He just wants to be happy. She tells him that of course he can be. Then she gets closer to him, ready to share her first tip for a happy life. She asks him to close his eyes, and without hesitating, he does it. Then, out of nowhere, she kisses him, totally catching him off guard. They both blush like crazy, and he's just in shock, trying to wrap his head around the fact that she really just kissed him. She starts explaining how kisses make him release oxytocin, the happiness hormone, which puts him in a super good mood. She insists that all her puppets be happy, saying a story with a happy ending is always way better. While he listens, she tells him that's why he'll be happy. She points out that to get there, he's going to have to follow her orders, but she doesn't want a disobedient puppet, so if he ever turns against her, she might just break him. Then she leans in closer and brings up her next order. She asks him to share one of his wishes, and he starts to think it over. She adds that if he could wish for anything, what would it be? Shaking a bit, he considers his options and, with a look of anger, declares that he wants revenge on all those who bullied him. Hearing this, she thinks it's a pretty solid idea too. She says he did a good job and, agreeing to his request, moves in closer to his head. So just like that, she says she's gonna grant his wish. Later that night at home, he's lying down and nursing his injuries. He can't stop thinking about that weird girl and her promise. While checking out his hurt hand, he wonders if anything is really gonna change. He starts questioning why he even survived. Looking back, nothing has gone right since his first day at school. It's hard to believe he got bullied for something so trivial. He's exhausted from this pointless life and thinks maybe tomorrow should just not happen. The next day at school, he walks into class and sees his desk covered in insults about him being cursed by the bullies. Out of nowhere, someone jumps in, clearly one of the bullies, and starts calling him total trash, saying he stinks up the whole room. He can't help but shoot them a dirty look. That jerk asks if he broke his arm, making fun of him for tripping or falling. He figures he must have hurt. He even grabs a pen, saying he has an idea. He asks why he doesn't just write some nice stuff on his cast. So he reaches for the injured hand, thinking about what to write, but our guy just pushes him away, telling him to knock it off. The bully is speechless for a second. After that, he just scratches his head and says whatever. Calling him a party pooper, the bully tells him to just go sit down. Meanwhile, our guy is just wondering what his problem is. Ryuya, the bully, starts calling over his friends and brushes him off. He tells his crew to check out something cool. Suddenly, it hits him that this guy always does whatever he feels like. Just then, Ryuya comes flying in and kicks him hard in the back, sending him crashing to the ground. Ryuya starts laughing, calling it a clean dropkick, and turns to his friends, asking if anyone recorded that. Of course, someone did. As he gets up and starts to walk away, Ryuya wonders if he's backing down already. But then he grabs him again and says it's time for round 2, and this time it's fists. Just when it looks like our guy is about to take a hit, a girl jumps into the classroom, greeting everyone. She confidently asks what's going on, leaving the whole class, including him and Ryuya, confused. It's the same girl from yesterday, and he suddenly remembers her. Ryuya can't help but think how cute she is, so he asks her what class she's in. Meanwhile, the teacher introduces her as a transfer student. This catches Ryuya off guard because he didn't expect that. She waves at him, and he immediately jumps up to the teacher, wondering why she didn't mention the new student. The teacher, looking a bit nervous, points out that she did talk about it during yesterday's assembly. Ryuya just shrugs it off, saying he wasn't really paying attention, and then asks her name. The girl writes her name on the board, Tamada Kubaru. She casually says that's her name and walks over to him, saying it's nice to meet him. He blushes a little and comments how even her name is cute. He's totally on board to exchange IDs, and Kubaru is down for it too. They swap their QR codes, and just like that, they're both in each other's friend lists. She mentions they should get along, and that guy introduces himself too. Meanwhile, our guy is just standing there, speechless, listening to their convo. Then out of nowhere, Kubaru calls him over. He's a bit confused at first, thinking she called him, but she actually asks for his name while referring to him in the cast. Kubaru starts chatting him up, and Ryuya just watches with this curious look on his face. She gets really close to him and says she totally blew her chance to ask for his name yesterday. She's all lit up and even a bit blushy. She keeps pushing him to tell her his name. He's clearly unsure at first, but then he musters up some courage and finally says he's Keiba Yudo, When she hears this, Hubaru chimes in, saying it's a pretty cool name and that it's nice to meet him. Ryuya can't help himself and jumps in, asking if she's into him or something, throwing in that she must be a little off. Just as Ryuya starts to tell the story about Kiba stepping in dog poop on his first day, Hubaru cuts him off, saying she doesn't think it's worth her time since it sounds super boring. Ryuya looks genuinely taken aback by that. Hubaru seems pretty chill and casually asks Sensei where her seat is. After a bit of hesitation, Sensei tells her it's next to Yudo. Hearing this, Hubaru instantly lights up, saying it must be fate and insists on sitting together, which Yudo is cool with too. Meanwhile, Ryuya is just there, looking totally confused. He can't wrap his head around why she chose him out of everyone. He starts mumbling to himself about being just some lame loser who stepped in dog crap. He's in disbelief and fuming, thinking there's no way this is happening. Looking down at his phone, he's actually feeling disgusted and wishing the other guy would just disappear. He's totally planning to invite Hubaru into the group chat to share those embarrassing videos of him, and the thought makes him grin like a total weirdo. Next thing you know, our guy is chilling on the stairs with Hubaru. He casually mentions it's lunch break, and she seems to pick up on that too. Oddly, he asks if she can't just eat with someone else. She shoots that down immediately, saying that this is the perfect chance for a strategy meeting. Hearing that just confuses him. She asks if they didn't talk about it yesterday, and if he forgot already. All posh-like, she says they're going to get back at his bullies. Then she gets up and mentions she got invited to the class group chat earlier. She tells him to check out one of the videos, and it happens to be his embarrassing one, totally catching him off guard. She thinks it's cute, assuming the guy was just trying to get her attention and got bummed when he didn't. Seeing all this, our guy gets up and grabs her hand, asking her to stop watching that video. She just casually says there's no need for him to look so freaked out since she's already seen it. She totally understands the whole embarrassment of being naked. Meanwhile, he's really thrown off by the whole situation and says this sucks. Hubaru asks if she shouldn't have watched it, and he snaps back, saying of course she shouldn't have. He's really not happy about her seeing the video and demands to know why she did it. Fuming, he points out that while it might just be a little embarrassing for her, it's a huge deal for him, and he doesn't want anyone seeing it. When she hears that, she asks if it hasn't been posted publicly. He hesitantly admits it hasn't been shared outside their group. Then she casually suggests, why not just publish it themselves? This totally catches him off guard, and his jaw just drops as he snaps at the idea. Fuming, he says there's no way he could do something so embarrassing. He thinks nobody in their right mind would even consider it. He mentions that if he didn't mention that he hates the video, what's the point, as she isn't even paying attention? When she hears this, she brings up whether he wants it to get out. He's sweating like crazy and says yes, wondering why she's even thinking about all this. Then she asks if it's true that he wanted revenge on his bullies. He replies that there are definitely other ways to get back at them. She agrees and asks him how he's actually planning to go about it. After hearing her, he starts to think it over. Then she brings up that she could switch things up. She tells him he doesn't really have a choice and asks if he actually thinks he does. That catches him off guard, and he's completely speechless. She says you can't get revenge without taking a risk and questions if he's too clueless to see that. He's still silent, just taking it all in. She continues, saying it'll be fine, and reminds him that he was on the brink yesterday. She points out that if he's tough enough to stand on that ledge, then this shouldn't be a big deal. Then she asks if maybe he wasn't actually brave enough to go through with it. He snaps back, insisting he really was going to do it. She takes a moment after his reaction, then walks up to him and says it's no big deal. She's already set up an account for him, even wrote the post, and hands him her phone, saying he just needs to hit the upload button. He takes the phone but looks really confused and hesitant. In that post, she's actually trying to flip the script. Instead of being the victim sharing her story, she wants to act like the bullies. She thinks having the guy admit to his wrongdoings publicly will totally grab everyone's attention and spark some mob justice. Basically, she says that one video will get all eyes on him while he just sits there listening. Since it's a new account with no followers, she figures that by throwing in some popular streamer hashtags and other viral stuff, his video filled with drama will easily blow up online. She's super pumped about it and says that after that, they just let society do its thing and dish out justice. After hearing her plan, he's still not sure it won't make things worse for their school, but she just laughs it off and tells him the school doesn't care about him at all, which totally catches him off guard. She casually points out that he's the only one who can really save himself. She asks him why he's stressing over adults who won't lift a finger to help him. She tells him that if he doesn't go through with this, he'll just be miserable forever. Then she asks if that's what he really wants. She steps closer, reassuring him that it's fine, and tells him to just follow her lead. She insists that doing this will make him happy, and promises she'll always be there to have his back. On the other side, our guy glances nervously at his phone. He hits the post button, and just like that, the tweet goes live. He's still shaking and a bit dazed. With his voice all shaky, he mutters that no one even noticed. He feels a bit relieved, thinking it's from an account with 0 followers. But then, out of nowhere, his phone starts going off with a ton of notifications, which gets her super hyped. He sees loads of comments from people saying they actually got the place, and some are even chatting about crashing the Bullies' next stream. Retweets start flooding in, and he's got chills running down his spine. Watching folks say it's game over for the Bullies makes him even more jittery, and the phone slips right out of his hands when he's totally caught off guard. She comes over and whispers something to him. While he's sweating bullets, she just casually says good job and blushes a little. She grabs her phone and, while holding our boy, tells him to hang tight and suggests going back to class. Meanwhile, he's just there, kind of brushing it off without saying much. On the other hand, Ryuya's minion comes sprinting over while he's just chilling and smoking. Ryuya asks what's up, and the minion tells him to check the group chat. When Ryuya looks at it, he can hardly believe it. He's got no idea how they pulled it off, but just shrugs it off as a tweet. So that's why he thinks it's not a big deal. He figures everyone will forget about it pretty quickly. He doubts anyone could even find their school. But even with that, he's pretty sure that if they did, no one would have the guts to show up. Then, out of nowhere, someone jumps in and asks if he really thinks no one has the guts. Meanwhile, his sidekick takes off running. The guy who jumps in looks kind of tough and says he's with the Baki Baki Violence channel. Ryuya just looks confused and asks who that is. The streamer then asks if he doesn't know about Bakibo, and honestly, Ryuya doesn't. The random dude then asks if having 5,000 subs isn't enough for some recognition. Ryuya just looks amazed, but the streamer smiles, declaring it cool. He tells Ryuya that today, he's gonna be a guest on one of his streams. He jumps right in and slaps a ribbon on the guy pretty hard. Meanwhile, Ryuya pipes up to say wait a sec. Without holding back, he clocks the dude and tells him to back off. The Bakibo streamer gets hit and feels a bit of pain but switches to his stream, telling his chat that this guy just hit him. Ryuya looks confused and starts insisting it was just an accident. The streamer rolls his eyes and asks if that's his excuse, claiming he tells his victims it was just an accident when he actually gangs up on defenseless people. Ryuya tries to smooth things over by saying they were just messing around. The streamer, hearing this, turns to his chat and asks if they caught that. He says this dude thinks it's all just fun and games. Meanwhile, the chat is going wild, trashing Ryuya and telling the streamer to beat him up. The streamer calls him a piece of trash and says he thinks he's the worst of the bunch. He starts looking pretty intimidating, saying it's guys like him who mess up society. As he checks the chat, he says that's why they need to teach him a lesson, asking if everyone agrees. Ryuya, still speechless, just stands there as the streamer goes off about how worthless bullies deserve judgment. Then he starts hitting him on the head and really laying into him. A kick to the stomach makes Ryuya vomit. He stumbles over his words, and the streamer notices the stream is getting blurry because he's holding the camera wrong. He shifts back to the chat, asking if they saw that go down. The streamer is asking his chat if actually hitting him is taking things too far, saying he didn't really get hit. He adds that he's got the Bakibo band on, so anyone wearing it is cool with being in his content. Meanwhile, Ryuya just looks kind of bummed out. The streamer reassures his chat that it's all just acting, and he's really good at pretending to get hit. While joking around with his viewers and laughing, the streamer casually mentions that nobody actually got hurt. The audience is totally on his side, and he even asks them if they noticed what just happened, and they all nod in agreement. Meanwhile, Ryuya starts to mumble slowly, his voice shaking a bit. The streamer turns back to him, dropping a final question. Why does he pick on our guy? Ryuya looks totally lost and starts sweating. He tries to remember why he did it in the first place. Suddenly, he recalls seeing our guy walking confidently on his own and thought he looked pretty cool, which is why he decided to casually approach him and strike up a chat. Still laughing, Ryuya says he greeted him with a good morning. He mentions hearing the girls talking about our guy back at the entrance ceremony and thinks how lucky he must be to be popular. Just then, our guy steps in something nasty, and Ryuya bursts out laughing, asking if he really just stepped in dog poop. Meanwhile, our guy is left speechless, annoyed that his sneakers, which look brand new, are now ruined. In the back, two girls spot Ryoya, and he quickly calls them over, eager to share the news. He cracks up, telling them that our guy just stepped in dog poop, still laughing at the whole situation. The chicks aren't having any of it and tell him to cut it out, but he just keeps saying it's funny. He tries really hard to poke fun at him, comparing it to slipping on a banana peel. He thinks it totally fits our guy and casually adds, "Good for him." Then he goes on about how our guy has a funny joke up his sleeve. Meanwhile, our lad can't even find the words. He's totally speechless. He finally musters some courage and tells him this isn't funny at all. That catches Ryoya off guard big time. He starts wondering why our guy is giving him that look and gets hit with this weird fantasy of them sharing a laugh together. He tells the streamer that he just wanted to be friends, but the streamer immediately kicks him in the face, calling it lame. Back in class, our guy is totally confused about what's going on. The teacher mentions that Ryoya was attacked by someone who shouldn't have been there during lunch. Everyone in class can't believe it's actually true. The teacher says the police have been called and the guy's already been arrested. She explains that Ryoya is in the hospital for his injuries and suggests that everyone should head home early today. Some students are kinda confused when they hear about his situation, but then there are those who think it's cool to leave early. Meanwhile, he looks totally surprised and caught off guard. Kubaru shouts over to him, saying it's a good thing. He gives her a confused look, and she's just blushing. After a moment, she says the mission's accomplished, and that now there's no one to mess with him. On the other hand, our guy's feeling pretty confused about whether he made the right choice. He can't shake off the thought that even while they're chatting, his video is still blowing up online. She's walking up to him, and he's feeling totally freaked out. Then she calls his name, hugs him, and shyly suggests they skip school and go on a date tomorrow, all while blushing like crazy. Meanwhile, he's also super curious about the future she might have in store for him. After hearing what Kubaru said, he just freezes up for the whole school day. Even when he gets home, he's still stuck on it. When he finally goes to bed, that date is all he can think about. The next morning, he wakes up without any sleep at all. As he heads out, he starts to wonder if he even fixed his bed hair. He gets totally mixed up about why he's so stressed. Then he brushes it off, calling himself a simpleton. But while he's lost in thought, he suddenly sees Kubaru in a jaw-dropping outfit. She spots him too and calls out. She looks confused about why he's wearing a uniform. He hesitates but explains that his parents wouldn't know if he left in regular clothes, so he plans to change in the restroom. She nods, saying it makes sense, and tells him to go ahead and change. As he walks into the restroom, he's left wondering what the heck he's even done. He feels like he's on cloud 9 right now, but he's also a bit wary since he knows she's no walk in the park. Still, he can't help but think she's pretty cute. In the end, he feels kind of pathetic for being so easily impressed. When he finally steps out of the restroom, he's caught off guard by what he sees. Two guys trying to hit on Kubaru, asking if she wants to grab some tea. He's a bit mixed up watching her get attention like that. But as soon as Kubaru spots him, she strolls over looking all excited, says he took forever. He gives a casual apology for that. Meanwhile, the guys realize she's got a boyfriend and just give up. After that, Kubaru says she wants to hit up the aquarium. Once they get there, our guy turns bright red and can't stop staring at her because she looks amazing. He even starts to wonder if he's dreaming because she's so pretty. They stroll around, checking out all the awesome fish and even the penguins hanging out. They both seem to be having a blast looking at everything. Later, they stop at a restaurant for dessert and order something that looks super delicious. Kubaru asks if Yudo's having fun. He claims he is, even though he's still in his shy zone. Kubaru feels pretty happy after hearing what he said. Meanwhile, our guy pauses for a second and asks her why she invited him out today. She shrugs. It's all for his future. As soon as he hears future, he looks a bit confused, and she clarifies that it's about wanting to fall in love and go on a bunch of dates down the line. He pieces it together and jokes that today's date is like an introductory class. She explains that it's all about turning him into the perfect Prince Charming. According to her, he needs some practice to avoid totally flopping on his first date. She adds, casually, that today's just a practice session. On the other side, he's totally lost, wondering if that means she wants to hang out with him, but she cuts him off with a straightforward no. He's left looking confused while she just smirks. Then she adds that she doesn't even like him. That hits him like a brick, and he's just frozen there. She talks about how they hardly know each other and makes it clear she's not interested in anything romantic. What she really wants is to mess around with her puppet. While he's listening, she keeps going on about how she's there to pull his strings and help him live a happy life. She constantly reminds him that he's just a puppet, nothing more, nothing less. That totally shuts him down. He's completely expressionless. Meanwhile, she's having a blast, enjoying herself and the moment. As they're snapping cute couple pics, our guy's face stays totally blank. Just like that, their date wraps up, and they swap photos. She thanks him for the day and asks if he can make it home on time. He's cool with it, thinking it's still 7 o'clock. So she thinks that's awesome. So she starts to leave, saying she'll see him tomorrow, and mentions wanting to make a photo album of their time together. He's really into that idea. Then, out of nowhere, his phone starts blasting with calls. When he checks, he freaks out. It's his dad calling. He picks up, and his dad goes off on him, cursing like crazy for skipping school. His teacher actually called his dad, who's furious and asks how he could humiliate him like that. He even tells him not to come home, wishing he'd crash on the way. Feeling pretty down, our guy just can't wrap his head around what kind of father tells his son to die. He hates chatting with his dad because he never watches what he says. Just scratching his head, he's thinking the whole situation totally sucks. Meanwhile, Hubara notices he's off and asks if he's okay. She feels bad since she's the one who told him to skip class. But he's fine with it. He's the one who went along with it. Kubaru then asks if he doesn't get along with his family. He admits that yeah, kinda. They just don't see eye to eye, and he apologizes for bringing it up, saying he should appreciate the family he has. But Kubaru tells him he doesn't have to feel that way. She tells him to look at himself and notice how hurt he is. She gets that saying something like die is just straight up cruel, leaving him feeling crushed. Kubaru immediately hugs him, trying to comfort him, and suggests that if he doesn't like them, he should just take off. She even says he can come with her. But he brushes off her suggestion and tells her that if she's not into him, then she should stop saying things like that. He opens up about how he can't depend on her, which leaves her totally speechless. She suddenly starts talking about unconditional love, and he's totally thrown off. She explains that the reason she doesn't have feelings for him and isn't looking for a romantic or physical thing is that she genuinely wants to save him, with no hidden agenda. Kubaru asks if that's not good enough. That just leaves him even more confused. He thinks he gets it, but next thing you know, Kubaru starts glitching out of reality. He ends up hugging her, and all of a sudden, he feels like he's fallen for her. That's the day he realizes he's into her. After that, she casually brings up heading home, even tossing out the idea of stopping by a convenience store to grab snacks and throwing a mini party. Somewhere along the way, she asks if he's into movies. He feels a little shy admitting it, especially since he rents them almost every week, but he nods and owns up to it. Yeah, he definitely is. Their next stop at the mall is all about snacks. While browsing, he jokingly calls her Tomata-san. She laughs, surprised by the playful side of him she doesn't usually see. Then, slightly flustered, she says it sounds too formal when he uses her last name and suggests he call her by her first name instead. The offer catches him off guard. It feels kind of personal, almost intimate. He blushes on the inside, but tries to keep his cool on the outside. He apologizes and says he's not ready to switch it up just yet. She thanks him for going all out on the snacks and points out that her place isn't far. When they arrive, he's stunned. The building is massive. A sleek, high-rise tower that looks way too expensive for someone their age. As she leads him inside, he realizes it's not just impressive from the outside. The apartment is bright, spacious, and clearly her own space. Curious, he asks about her parents. She casually mentions they're not around and that she lives alone. She drops onto the sofa and tells him to sit wherever. Then she brings up the movie again, asking what he wants to watch. He looks a little unsure but names a title he's been meaning to check out. She recognizes it and says it's supposed to be pretty popular, so they decide to watch it together. As they settle in, the vibe feels almost too perfect. Calm, cozy, and easy, like something he wants to bottle up and make last forever. But the moment doesn't last. His phone starts buzzing nonstop. It's his dad again. He steps outside to take the call, still unsure if it's just concern or something worse. The second he answers, his dad starts yelling, demanding to know where he is. It completely throws him. He explains that he's at a friend's place, just staying over for a bit. That only makes things worse. His dad flips out, refuses to believe him, and insists he come home immediately. Then, without even knowing the full story, his dad jumps to conclusions, assumes it's about a girl, claims he's being manipulated, and insists he's coming over to get him right away. Before he can even process what's happening, the call ends, and he's left staring at the screen, heart pounding. Frustration wells up, and he ends up cursing under his breath. The pressure is too much. He drops to the floor, completely overwhelmed. Going home is the last thing he wants to do, but then reality hits. His dad probably has no idea where he actually is. Just then, she walks in and checks on him. She says she overheard part of the conversation. He apologizes, saying his dad can get really loud. It's clear to both of them that the man is underway too much stress. After thinking it over, he says he'll just go home. But she calmly says he shouldn't worry. His dad said he'd come get him, so they might as well wait and see if he actually shows up. Suddenly, his phone starts vibrating again. It catches him off guard, way sooner than expected. He picks up, and his dad immediately starts snapping, saying he's already outside and demanding that he come down right away. Then comes the surprise. His dad admits he tracked him using GPS. That's when it clicks. There's a tracking app on his phone he didn't even know about. She walks over, holding an envelope, and asks if they should go down together. He says he'll talk to his dad, try to smooth things over, but she insists he doesn't need to leave. That only confuses him further. Then she tells him to wait by the front entrance, and not to argue. Her tone shifts. This isn't a suggestion, it's an order. As they head downstairs, tension hangs in the air. The moment they step outside, his dad spots them and immediately goes off. He's furious, shouting at her, accusing her of manipulating his son. The insults get uglier by the second. He criticizes her appearance, throws around cruel words, and makes a scene right there on the street. Watching it unfold, the boy feels like he needs to step in. This is spiraling and fast. He doesn't know exactly what to say, but he knows he can't stay silent forever. Before he can move, she calmly steps between them and holds out the envelope. His dad stares confused. She explains there's $1,000,000 inside. She took it out just in case something like this ever happened. She says that if money is all he wants, then he can take it, and she'll handle the rest. Our guy is completely blown away by what he just heard, and his dad's reaction is just as wild. With this crazy look on his face, he starts asking if she's joking around. Kubaru, not backing down, replies that 1,000,000 should be enough, but then the dad goes off on her, insisting he's the father and there's no way he's selling his son for a pile of money. He throws out harsh accusations, suggesting she got that money through questionable means, and insults her character in a cruel way. Our guy tries to jump in and say something, but his dad shuts him down. Kubaru keeps going and asks if he's ever considered other sources, like personal investments or assets, then questions if he really believes that's the only way women can make money. She calls him a pitiful, unimaginative man, and adds that with a father like him, there's no way his son will ever be truly happy. But the dad isn't having it and snaps back, saying it's not up to some kid like her to decide. After this, Kubaru questions why he even told his son to just die without thinking it through. The dad jumps in, claiming he said it for his son's own good. He explains that when he was that age, his bosses told him the same thing. He says the weak don't survive in this world and that the tough love was meant to help him grow. Hearing this, Kubaru bursts out laughing, which makes the dad demand to know what's so funny. She apologizes and says she just finds that story ridiculous. To her, it sounds like an excuse, like he couldn't be bothered to really talk to his son, and that he doesn't truly care about him. She then asks what he would do if his son actually took those words seriously and died. The dad brushes it off, claiming people don't just die because someone tells them to. Her expression shifts. She tells him that people can die more easily than he thinks, especially when the damage is coming from their own father. She asks if he truly understands how his son feels, and questions whether he's even trying to act like a parent. The dad gets defensive and insists he knows exactly how his son feels. Then he explodes again, saying the boy is still soft, even after growing up, and that's why he's trying to educate him. Kubaru jumps in, saying he's completely wrong. Just yelling and throwing out words isn't the same as education. After that, she says she finally understands what's going on. In her eyes, the dad isn't necessary for the son's happiness, so she declares that she'll be the one to help him find it instead. That only makes the dad even more furious. He snaps at her, demanding to know what a kid like her could possibly understand. He challenges her, asking what she thinks happiness even is, and warns her not to say something ridiculous like planning to marry him. Kubaru stays calm. She replies that building a peaceful home with children is the first step toward a happy life. Meanwhile, our guy just listens. She continues, saying that to get him to that kind of future, he'll need to work on things: his popularity, his grades, and his finances. but she makes it clear that she won't be the one building that family with him. She explains that her role is to guide him, like a control tower directing the path ahead. And starting now, she says she'll show his dad how his son can find happiness under her guidance. That leaves the dad speechless, and our guy completely confused. The dad finally breaks the silence, calling her a brat and asking what kind of joke this is. He challenges her again, saying if she's serious, then she should prove it right now. Hubaru doesn't hesitate. She calmly pulls out her phone and says there's no reason to waste time. She dials a number and speaks to her father, referencing something they discussed earlier. She asks him to go ahead with it and hangs up after thanking him. Our guy's dad is left looking completely confused. Then suddenly, his phone starts ringing nonstop. He checks the screen and looks stunned. The president is calling. Kubaru nudges him, saying he should answer, since it sounds important. Kiba is totally caught off guard as he picks up the call. He introduces himself, clearly nervous. The president begins by apologizing for the sudden contact and compliments Kiba on his work, making him even more tense. But then, without warning, the president informs him that he's being let go. Kiba is stunned. The president explains that it's not personal. He also has a family to take care of. Once the call ends, Kiba immediately turns on Kubaru and demands to know if this was her doing. She admits she asked her father to pull some strings. Then she mentions Tomata Real Estate, which makes Kiba react. He recognizes the name instantly. She explains it's the parent company of where he works, and that her father is the CEO. That's why, she says, it wasn't hard to have him fired. But she adds that if he accepts the 1 million yen, she'll ask her father to consider giving him his job back. But if he doesn't go for it, she'll make sure he can't get hired anywhere else. Kiba is losing it and tells her to quit messing around. She asks if he really thinks she's bluffing and says it's his choice, but getting fired is still happening either way. This totally shocks him. She points out that he's a grown-up, so he must know what the smart choice is. As soon as she says that, he drops to his knees like he's about to beg. She holds out her envelope and asks what he's gonna do. Totally defeated, Kiba grabs the envelope. She smirks, saying he made the right move. She turns to our guy, mentioning that since Kiba's out of the picture, they should keep watching their movie. Kubaru tells him to come on in, and he goes for it. Meanwhile, Kiba's left feeling pretty defeated on his knees. She happily takes our guy back to her apartment, all excited and blushing. Later that night, in the director's office, the president starts thinking about our guy. He figures he did this for him because the girl pushed for it. He's confused about what their deal is and wonders if he's actually her boyfriend. Eventually, he decides there's no point in overthinking it, and just decides to ask him directly. After heading inside, our guy thinks that maybe he won't have to deal with his awful dad anymore. It feels like a weight's been lifted off his shoulders, but he's also kind of confused, wondering if this is really the right move. He reminds himself he's still a minor, so running away all by himself feels risky. But at least he's grateful to have a place to crash. Meanwhile, Kubaru is super excited and telling him to hurry up. He's feeling pretty low, worrying if he'll be okay. He also realizes he just cut everyone out of his life like it's no big deal, even though they're still family, for whatever that's worth. He wonders what his mom will think, but brushes it off since she's probably just doing whatever dad says. Seeing his face, Kubaru asks if something's up. He hesitates, which makes her ask if he's worried. Seeing him all confused, she tells him that he just split from his family, and she can't really blame him for that. She assures him it'll all be fine and promises she'll make him happy. Meanwhile, he can't help but stare at her, wondering why she's being so nice. They end up watching the entire movie, and Kubaru is super pumped because she thinks it's a blast. On the flip side, he's crying pretty hard, but for him, it's tears of joy, and he thinks it's awesome. The last line hits him especially hard. So cool. She's loving it too. After that, she suggests they check out the next movie. He's shocked, thinking they're going to do 2 back-to-back. She asks if he's not down for that. He can't resist, but this time it's a romance film. She says it's a must-watch for any cozy date at home, and he's totally caught off guard, blushing like mad. She jokes that they're just practicing for the future. While watching, he shyly admits that there's no way that'll ever happen for him. She chuckles at this and casually tells him to just enjoy the movie for now, completely catching him off guard. He's stuck watching it, even though he usually skips these kinds of films. He finds himself blushing, thinking it's making him way too nervous. As the movie hits its peak with the characters kissing, he can't help but feel even more embarrassed. The kiss drags on, and it's just awkward for him. Seriously, he thinks this is so cringe. Meanwhile, Kubaru is totally relaxed and suddenly grabs his hand, making him jump in shock. She points out that during moments like this, he should be holding her hand. Then she goes ahead and does it herself, showing him how to be nice. She leans in super close and teasingly asks why they shouldn't kiss too. She suddenly leans in closer to him, and it totally throws him off. They're super close now, and she closes her eyes, about to lean in for a kiss. But he's feeling really unsure. Just when things seem like they're about to get crazy, he decides they shouldn't go there and tries to push her away. She looks puzzled and asks if he doesn't want to kiss her. He tells her he does want to, but that's exactly why they shouldn't. He makes it clear that if she's not interested in dating him, then they shouldn't be kissing either. He tells her not to treat something that matters so lightly. She thinks about it for a second, but then she admits she wouldn't mind kissing him. He gets annoyed and says this is exactly what he means. He warns her that she'll just get his hopes up and tells her not to say that to someone she just turned down. When he mentions rejection, she looks puzzled and casually points out that he never actually confessed to her. That totally catches him off guard. He responds by saying she mentioned she didn't like him while they were at the aquarium. She quickly clarifies that she was just trying to figure things out back then. Then she pulls out some earbuds and tells him to put them in, promising he should keep them on so she can give him instructions while they're apart. He's pretty confused about the whole thing, but she warns him not to do anything funny. She tells him to follow her instructions and warns him not to let Aihara catch him on the call. Then she wishes him good luck, and he makes his way to his locker, feeling like there's a lot on his plate. Out of nowhere, Aihara pops up and cutely asks if he's been waiting long, but he plays it cool, saying he hasn't. After that, she tells him to get along with things. He's totally on board, rocking his pen-shaped mic and earbuds, and they both head outside together. As they stroll together, it's totally silent between them. He feels a bit awkward, and then Kubaru calls to check if he can hear her. She tells him to tap twice on the earbud if he can, and when he does, she feels relieved that the connection is good. She asks him to really focus on her words and repeat after her. He looks pretty lost, but Kubaru pushes him to give it a shot now. He thinks she's gotta be joking, but with her encouragement, he finally asks Aihara if she really likes donuts. She lights up and says she absolutely loves them. Feeling all kinds of embarrassed, he admits that he's a fan too. Then out of nowhere, she calls to him, and he's caught off guard. Turns out they've arrived at the donut place. Kubaru nudges him to say something else, so he tells Aihara that it's his first time here. He mentions it's not usually his kind of spot. As he checks out the menu, he notices they got some new items, and everything sounds so good. He tells her there are so many options that it's tough to pick just one. Aihara really wants to try all the limited edition donuts, but she thinks getting two for herself is a little much. Kubaru totally gets it. Then Kubaru calls out to him, telling him to ask her to split the donuts. She's pushing him to hurry up. He feels kind of embarrassed, but he finally gathers his courage and asks if she wants to share with him. She looks surprised, and he follows up by checking if she doesn't want to. She quickly says she's cool with it, especially since it's with him. He tells her to go ahead and place their orders. When he asks what she wants to drink, he tells her to take a seat while he handles the ordering. She says she's in the mood for milk tea and smiles, thinking how sweet he is. When their food arrives at the table, she thanks him, and the donuts look really good too. She keeps on praising him and offers to pay for the donuts. But Kubaru quickly jumps in, telling him to turn down her money and gives him a line to use. With a little guidance, he tells Aihara not to sweat the bill and that he's got it today. She seems taken aback and admits she feels bad for not pitching in. Kubaru quickly tells him to take her hand while saying the next line, and he does it. He mentions he's trying to be gentle today and asks if she's okay with that. This really hits Aihara, and it totally surprises him. After a bit of hesitation, she decides to go along with it. Then, out of nowhere, she drops a big question, asking if he has a crush on someone. He's left speechless. When he hears that, Kubaru gets all pumped up and urges him to just go for it. Gathering his courage, he tells Aihara he doesn't have anyone at the moment. She pauses for a second and then, surprisingly, her expression turns fierce as she thanks her lucky stars, saying if he did, she might have ended him. After hearing what she said, our guy is totally caught off guard. Meanwhile, she's just chill, laughing it off and joking. With a little help from Kubaru, he mentions how passionate she is, then jokes that she almost gave him a heart attack. Aihara thinks about it for a second before calling him out. In a pretty intense way, she says the stuff he's saying isn't really his words. She asks if they are his, and that totally leaves him sweating and confused. Then she notices he's got an earbud in one ear and tells him to take it out. He quickly takes it off, while Kubaru tries to get his attention. It clicks for her that he's cutting her off. After he took out the earbud, he mentioned he was just listening to music before they met. It totally slipped his mind that it was still in. Aihara, hearing this, asks if he really wanted to tell her that. That's when he realizes the mood has shifted completely. Aihara is freaking out, sweating like crazy. She even starts crying, saying she figures he doesn't actually care about her. He snaps back, insisting that's not true. With a shaky voice, she tells him it's fine and claims a guy like him would never notice someone like her. She feels really bad, saying he probably just wants to go home, right? He quickly says no, snapping at her again that he definitely doesn't want that. He insists this isn't how he feels at all. She then tells him she really enjoyed talking to him. Hearing that, Aihara, still in tears, asks if he'll keep going on dates with her. He's totally caught off guard. She actually wants to keep the convo going, so she mentions that after this, she wants him to swing by her place. He's really surprised by the idea of her house. Aihara then asks if that's a no, and he starts thinking about what to do. He ended the call without even asking. He realizes that if he goes to her, he'll have to leave Kubaru hanging. But he can't just leave her alone like this. He feels bad for Kubaru and starts to feel guilty about it. Finally, he agrees but says it can't be for too long. So he heads over to her place and she lets him in. He asks if she lives by herself, and she says she does. She mentions that her parents are pretty chill, but they still send her money for school. Laughing, she says she really appreciates them and decides to make him a cup of tea. She tells him to get comfy, and he agrees but feels totally speechless. After a bit, Aihara moves around him, and just as he's about to call her out for help, she surprisingly looks like she's about to go off and hit him from behind. She hits him hard right at the back of his head, and he goes crashing to the floor. It looks like he's about to pass out. While he's out cold, Aihara decides to check out his phone for a sec. Once she looks it over, she realizes he was being dishonest. She discovers he's been chatting with another girl. So she pulls out some ropes, thinking he might need a little lesson. She figures this is for her own good too. Meanwhile, Kubaru is getting herself ready. She excitedly puts up her jacket because she thinks Aihara is way more interesting than she thought.